Ever wondered if you could have Viking blood running through your veins? If so, you're not alone. The Viking era, which spanned from the late 8th to early 11th century, has always been shrouded in mystery and intrigue. The Vikings, traditionally painted as fierce, blonde, Nordic warriors, have captured the imagination of many. But how much of this image is steeped in truth, and how much is a fabrication of popular culture? In our quest for answers, we turn to the world of science. A groundbreaking study, the largest of its kind, has ventured into the genetic labyrinth of the Vikings. This study, led by renowned evolutionary geneticist Eske Willerslev, aims to debunk myths, challenge assumptions, and shed light on the true genetic history of these formidable seafarers. The goal is not just to understand who the Vikings were, but also to trace their journeys, understand their interactions with different cultures, and ultimately, to reveal the genetic threads that connect us to them today. This study takes us beyond the surface, beyond the stereotypes, to explore the rich tapestry of Viking genetics. It delves into the DNA of 442 individuals, from the Bronze Age right through to the 1600s, offering us an unprecedented glimpse into our past. So are we ready to embark on this fascinating journey through the genetic history of the Vikings? Hold tight, the voyage is about to begin. Picture a Viking in your mind. Do you see a tall, muscled, blonde warrior, perhaps with a horned helmet? You're not alone in this. This image of the Vikings as blonde warriors has been propagated through centuries of storytelling, from ancient sagas to modern films and television series. It's a stereotype that has persisted, painting the Vikings as a homogeneous group of Nordic warriors, all blonde and brooding. But let's pause for a moment. History, as we know, is never that simple. It's a tapestry woven with countless threads, each representing a different narrative, a different truth. And that's where our DNA study comes in. Led by renowned geneticist Eske Willerslev, our team of researchers set out on a mission, a journey back in time, if you will, to unravel the true genetic makeup of the Vikings. Using state-of-the-art genetic sequencing techniques, our team analyzed DNA from hundreds of Viking-age individuals, from the Bronze Age to the 1600s. Our objective was not just to uncover the genetic history of the Vikings, but also to challenge the stereotypes and myths that have surrounded them for centuries. So, what if we told you that the actual Viking genetic makeup was much more diverse? What if we told you that the image of the blonde Viking is more myth than reality? Intrigued? Stay with us as we delve deeper into the fascinating world of Viking DNA in the next segment. The largest Viking DNA study ever attempted has some surprises in store for us. Imagine taking an epic journey back in time, spanning from the Bronze Age all the way to the 17th century. This is precisely the journey embarked upon by a team of intrepid researchers led by geneticist Eske Willerslev to uncover the true genetic history of the Vikings. The scope of this study? Absolutely breathtaking. The researchers analyzed the DNA from 442 individuals, unearthing centuries of hidden stories and debunking long-held myths along the way. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill DNA test, no. This was an extensive, meticulous study that harnessed the power of advanced genetic sequencing and biotechnologies. Researchers pored over every strand of DNA, every gene, every chromosome to piece together a puzzle that spanned over 1,000 years. And the research didn't stop at the lab door. The team journeyed to some of the most well-known Swedish archaeological sites, including the resting place of the 17th century warship Cronin, to gather their samples. From the windswept coastlines of the British and Irish Isles to the far reaches of the eastern Baltic region, the researchers left no stone unturned in their quest for knowledge. The effort was colossal, the dedication unwavering. The team worked tirelessly, sifting through mountains of data, connecting the dots between the past and the present, and tracing the genetic footprints of the Vikings through the sands of time. And what did they find? Well, let's just say the results were nothing short of mind-blowing. The study revealed a surprising genetic diversity among the Vikings, shattering the stereotype of the blonde Nordic warrior. But that's not all. The research also unveiled traces of Southern European and Asian ancestry in Viking DNA, painting a picture of a society far more interconnected and diverse than we ever imagined. The results? They're nothing short of mind-blowing. Prepare to have your perceptions challenged. It's time to dismantle the monolithic image of the Vikings as a homogeneous group of blonde warriors. The study led by Eske Willerslev has found that the Viking DNA is a rich tapestry of genetic diversity, far from the stereotypical Nordic image we've all grown to know. The Viking era, which spanned from the late 8th to early 11th century, was a time of significant gene flow into Scandinavia. Women from the East Baltic region and the British and Irish Isles contributed greatly to the Viking gene pool, a fact that quashes the idea of Vikings as isolated marauders from the north. The study also found that the genetic makeup of modern Scandinavians has bounced back to what it looked like before the Viking migration. This suggests that the Vikings were not just invaders and plunderers, but also settlers who integrated with the local populations. But the real kicker? The Vikings were not all blondes. Genetic evidence shows a mixture of hair colors, including brown and even black. This paints a far more diverse picture than the stereotypical blonde, blue-eyed Viking. The study also unearthed a rare genetic component in the northern Scandinavian gene pool that is not found in Central and Western Europe. This discovery hints at a complex and multi-layered genetic history, further dispelling the idea of Vikings as a homogeneous group. In essence, the Vikings were a genetic melting pot, a blend of diverse genes from various regions. They were not just warriors, but explorers, traders, and settlers, interacting with a myriad of cultures during their voyages. Turns out, the Vikings were not just blonde warriors, they were a genetic melting pot. A fascinating revelation, isn't it? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the global connections of the Vikings in the next segment. Vikings were not just warriors, they were explorers too. Their voyages took them far beyond their Nordic homelands to the shores of distant lands. These journeys were not just about conquest, but also about connection, exchange, and discovery. As the Vikings traveled, they interacted with diverse cultures, from the British Isles to the Eastern Baltic region, and even as far as Asia. These interactions left an indelible mark on Viking genetics. The DNA study reveals that Vikings were not a homogeneous group, but a melting pot of genetic influences from the regions they visited and the people they encountered. Women from the East Baltic region and the British and Irish Isles contributed significantly to the Viking gene pool, debunking the myth of Vikings as purely Nordic warriors. It's fascinating to realize how these global interactions shaped the Vikings, not just culturally, but genetically too. They were global citizens of their time, weaving together threads of different cultures into the tapestry of their own genetic makeup. The Viking footprint was indeed global. Every bone tells a story, and the Vikings' bones are no different. A captivating tale unfolded when scientists discovered family ties among Viking skeletons. These weren't just random warriors buried together, but fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, a testament to their strong familial bonds. The skeletons whisper tales of their lives, their journeys, their battles, and their love for their kin. These stories, etched in bone, offer us a glimpse into the personal lives of the Vikings, reminding us that they were not just warriors and explorers. They were fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters. What does all this mean for our understanding of the Vikings and their history? Well, these revelations are reshaping our perception of Viking society. This study shows us that the Vikings were not a homogeneous group of blonde warriors, but a diverse and complex society with a rich genetic tapestry. The Viking era was marked by extensive connections with different regions and cultures, painting a picture of a society that was more cosmopolitan than we previously imagined. The implications of this research go beyond history, influencing our understanding of genetics, migration, and cultural interaction. The Viking DNA study sheds new light on an old chapter of human history. Our voyage into the genetic history of the Vikings comes to an end, but the exploration doesn't stop here. This journey has revealed the fascinating complexity of Viking ancestry, debunking long-held myths and assumptions. The largest Viking DNA study ever conducted has shown us that the Vikings were not a homogeneous group of blonde warriors, but a diverse and global society with genetic ties to regions as far-flung as Southern Europe. These findings underscore the power of genetic studies in reshaping our understanding of history and human diversity. They remind us that our past is far more intricate and interconnected than we might think, and that our genes carry the echoes of this complex history. So, whether you're a history enthusiast, a genetic explorer, or just a curious soul, remember this: our understanding of the past is always evolving, just like us. And who knows, you might have a Viking ancestor. Until next time, keep exploring your past and embracing your diverse heritage.